Thank you very much, Emily, and welcome to our Refresher Welding program with Realityworks Welding Solutions. Excited to have you here and really excited just to walk through some different ideas that hopefully pique your interest, get you maybe thinking in new ways, and also just helping us to really understand some opportunities that may align up with you and your class and your program. So, here at Railworks, we are innovative learning tools for skills training. We are in a lot of different career and technical education areas, but one of our my favorites in one area that we're going to focus on today is in our welding world. So again, there's a lot of different things that we really try to focus on and bring into the classroom when we work with teachers, with educators, and bring into the classroom with our products, focusing on a lot of different areas all today. So, kind of the overview here. We're going to talk about some of the goals of the day, and those would be our focus here is how can we help you boost student engagement? Talking about different tools that we have to attract students to your program, and then with those tools, what does successful implementation of those tools look like that could be used in your classroom? And then, like Emily said, we're going to talk about some free resources and also have some question and answer time at the end for you. So, to start with, let's just ask the questions. How could you boost student engagement using the products and the focuses that we have here at RealityWorks? So, just a few things kind of that really come to mind when we talk about student engagement and as we talk to teachers, as we talk to students, as we look at how do you help students today to stay engaged and stay focused? One of the first ones is it is important to create routine and to create schedules. When students know what is going to be coming, what to have expectations for, that just helps them to, not have that worry, that concern in the back of their minds, and helps them to really know, okay, what's expected of me and be ready for that engagement when it does come. The next one is let students know what is to come. So, having that excitement piece, not just the day-to-day schedules, but one of the things that in welding you can do is to have different opportunities where you do like a welding Wednesday, where every student gets to weld on a Wednesday, or maybe you're going to have a competition on a Friday, or you get to do a project. Bring that and create anticipation and excitement of what's to come. When are you going to do those class projects? When are you going to get to um, have a student be the teacher? Let them know those things and bring that in. So there's some excitement to come. And then another one that we really focus on is allowing for repetition and repeatability. Now, for the students, for that skill development, repetition is so important. And so bringing that repetition in the classroom, but it's also something where repeatability is important for the teacher, where if you find that lesson, that activity that really excites your students, continue to use that over and over again. And how can we have it where you take those high flying, fun, enjoyable, engaging lessons and do them every single year. And then repeat them, but also to continue to gain more and more resources will help you to repeat more and more engaging activities for your class, allowing that excitement for the students. Another one that really can help with student engagement is creating avenues to learn about career exploration. And we're going to share some of those today with you. And we have free resources on lesson plans for career explorations within welding. And so we want that. But the important piece of that career exploration is allowing students to not only, is this fun, is it interesting, but what is my career going to be? Why is what I'm doing important? And what kind of effects could it have later on for me? And then work to define what success looks like together, you and your students. Now, each student is individually going to have different abilities and talents. So, what does that success look like for your students? Work with them. It could be different for every student, and it might be something too where as you talk to them, a lot of times students today, they will look at things and see things as difficult or too hard or maybe not engaging because I don't know if I can succeed. And so walking through that idea of what success is and getting on the same page can really help a lot of students, especially some of those students who maybe are new to welding or are a little bit hesitant in those classes. And then the final one is bring challenges and competition into the classroom. These are some ways that you can create some fun activities, but also what we found is competition brings out sometimes the best in people and sometimes the not so great in people. And so bringing that competition allows you to see what you're really good at and what you need to work on. And so it's not always a win or lose situation, but it's a developmental, what things am I, proficient in and what things do I need to continue to work on. So as we have this slide here and talk through some engagements, we're going to be bringing that out throughout this presentation today. So you'll see some of the things about routines and schedules, about creating anticipation, repetition, and repeatability, career exploration over and over again as we go through here. So, within your classroom, within your laboratory, depending on what your workshop looks like, what are some things that you can implement into your shop? So, not always every shop is going to look the same. Not every classroom is going to be the same. So, how do you then kind of take that vision and say, this is what my classroom looks like? How do I bring this into my world that I'm in today? So, one of the ways that we can do that, and we talk about this, is through welding careers, getting students to understand what are those careers out there, what are the needs to be a welder, and so that engagement of understanding, and a lot of times, we'll find different groups of students who, they've heard of welding, they maybe have a family member who's done it or they've seen it on TV, but they don't know all the ins and outs. They don't know what is needed to be in that world. And so giving them those opportunities to understand, there's high skill in welding, and so you have to be a skilled human to be able to understand it. Good interpersonal skills, being able to be self-motivated, understanding engineering drawings and blueprints. So if those are some things that are interesting to those students, that might be, hey, this is a way to have an understanding of that to go into a career like that. Sometimes there's going to be the need to be willing to do overtime work and to be able to work in hazardous conditions. Those are also places where you can sit, but there's also the benefits of it. A welder's salary in the United States is very good, especially when you start looking at these students coming out of high school sometimes, or even out of a tech college, a 1 or 2 year program, to then be able to say, wow, before I'm 20, before I'm 21, I could be making a median average wage of just under $50,000 a year. I can travel, I can go to different areas because this skill travels well. Getting them engaged in that world really can help them to understand, okay, maybe this is something I want to go into. Maybe this is giving me that curiosity, that interest that could be going into it. Now, with that can come some of the help like career exploration. In this world here, what are all involved with career exploration? And so, what we have here are some free lesson plans that you can sign up for and get access to. So, we have them in a variety of different areas, but one of the areas is our welding career exploration class and lessons. And so, within this, you have 6 different lessons that you can go through, each one lasting about an hour long. So, I mean, if you are looking for bolstering and getting students to really think about what are the welding careers out there, this is a free resource that we have for you that you can go in, and it walks through careers in manufacturing and production welding. It goes through welding fabrication, welding engineer, quality assurance, pipe welding, and then other relatable welding jobs that are included in that as well. We have the worksheets, the PowerPoint slides, the activities for you, all wrapped up, ready for you. But this is a great way to get that engagement for your students to be thinking about what are the careers out there and maybe learning for the first time different opportunities that they never knew that were out there. The other area that we really like to talk through and get that engagement and get that students attracted to learning in your classroom is how are you setting up and implementing that into the classroom. So what we have is we have a program implementation guide that gives you that visual understanding of, okay, here is that the classroom that I have, how am I going about working with my students here. So in this case here, understanding what a quality weld looks like. What is it that you're actually the sample, the gold sample you're looking for? How is that important? What are the different parts and pieces of that? We have a common welding kit that can be used in that. And then from there, going into and learn proper welding technique with graded welds. Okay, how do I hold the gun? What's happening when I am too far away or too close to my weld? What's happening if I'm too fast or too slow? And then going into, doing the real thing from, hey, now I know the correct technique. Now I need to actually do it, but doing it with guidance for extra training, skill training as well. And then going from there, we have the ability to check your welds, identify and be able to view what is available from a qualified, certified weld versus what I'm doing. And then what are my problems and things that I might need to change for that? And so knowing what a defect looks like, and then knowing how to do a weld without defects as well. And then also do quality test on your welds, making sure that you've mastered the skill and that you also know the quality of your weld. So again, this helps us to kind of walk through, implement into the classroom, but it helps your students have a very succinct way of learning uh, the whole welding process. So with that being said, we want to really focus on now some tools to attract students to your program. So some of the RealityWorks tools that we really focus on. But before we jump into that, just want to walk through a checklist that, asking your question of this welding program checklist. What are the best things that I have in my classroom so then I can really attract students there? So again, you the teacher, if you are in the classroom, industry certifications. What do you know about the industry? What is your educational background? And making sure that you're including that in what you do and helping your students to understand how you got to what you did. What are you doing? And then making sure that you are focusing on what are the best techniques and learning opportunities for my students, just in how I engage them. The next one is curriculum. And one of the things that we really focus on with our curriculum is giving you that standards based best practice curriculum. We do align with the American Welding Society standards and their guidelines. And so working together to really not only have the hands on learning, but also the theory and the knowledge learning as well for your welding program. And then finally, think about your facilities, the classroom that you're in, you have your students in, the computers, projection, screen. How are you using that? And then also the equipment. How many welding booths do you have? How many welding machines? Are students able to move from the classroom to the workshop? Do you have safety standards and implementation in your classroom so everyone's being safe, everyone's doing what they need to be? So with that checklist, what we really have seen in today's high school and also post-secondary is we have on average about 8 welding booths. So what does your classroom look like? Do you have more than that? Do you have less than that? At the high school level, usually that average is 8. In the tech college or the community college level, you're looking probably double that, about 16 to 20 welding booths on average. Now on average, the average class has 22. I've seen classes that are smaller welding classes, 5 to 10 students. I've seen bigger classes, 30 to 35 students. And just how do you work with all of those numbers and those students when you have a small number of welding booths, or average size is a bigger class than actual welding booth. And then there's usually a larger percent, or 33%, that have some sort of cognitive disability. So you're working with students who love hands-on learning because they can see what they're doing, they can interact with that, but maybe they don't always have the book learning down. And so how do you implement really getting that hands-on learning for some of those students and helping each individual student in the learning process? So what we would say is using our different products, including our GuideWeld VR product. This is a virtual welding guidance system that allows you to do both stick and MIG, or GMAW, SMEW welding technique. It allows students to be able to do virtual reality where they're doing the weld themselves, but they're able to see it on a computer screen, allowing for them to be able to really understand their proper technique. Now, how do they know their proper technique? Because there's different guides in the software. So you have a speed guide, a plus or minus, making sure that you're going not too fast, not too slow, but the right speed. A travel angle guide, allowing you to make sure that your travel angle is, not too high or too low. A work angle, which is side by side, making sure that that is as well the correct angle. And then a nozzle to plate distance, making sure that you're not too close and not too far away with the gun, either the stick or the MIG gun. And then also straightness, making sure that you're actually penetrating and doing the weld as you should be. So all those guides help students learn proper welding technique in their world, and then it assesses them, allowing them to understand that work angle, travel angle, plate distance, and seeing, hey, what area am I doing well? What do I need to work on? So in this case, this assessment shows that the speed was kind of all over the place, and they lost points because of that. So what do they need to work on in some areas? Work angles doing well, traveling is doing well, their plate distance, their speed, and their straightness, those are areas that they can improve upon. Now, with this, virtual reality welding simulation has actually shown through studies to increase learning of welding technique, increase the ability of students to create quality welds, and also increase proper welds themselves. It also reduces the amount of time needed to do quality welds and the cost that it needs. So we've seen with simulators, and white papers have shown that they actually help create welders in less time, being able to do more quality welds and do it in less time because they're working on their technique before going and doing the real thing. It also is less a cost that is included in this world. So all of this helps those students. Now, another product we have is our GuideWeld Live product. This is an actual live welding helmet. So you actually do the welds in the booth, and inside of the welding helmet that you would get, it is an auto darkening welding helmet. It gives feedback on your work angle, travel angle, and speed. So it's like having an instructor right in your helmet over your shoulder as you're doing the weld itself. Them watching along with you, well, we've been able to put that right into the helmet. So in this case here, you can see from our little video is as you're doing a weld, inside the helmet, it has these peripheral visions allowing you to know what your work angle, your travel angle, and your speed is, allowing for you for quality welds every single time you actually do a real weld. Now, we've seen this from students just from one weld going from all over the place, kind of disoriented and not knowing how fast they should be going, what their work angle should be, what their speed should be, to the very next one, putting on the helmet, being able to see the difference, being able to know, oh, here's my speed. This is what my work angle should be. Okay. And helping that guidance, like having that instructor in your helmet. Another product that we then focus on and kind of walk through as we'll implement in the implementation guide here is our weld defects kit. So now you've done the weld. Okay. Well, how good of a weld was it? That's the question that a lot of times we'll ask or students will ask. And so this way we have our weld defect kit. This allows students to be able to look at their weld, see if they did it correctly or if they did it incorrectly. Being able to look at and identify if they are off in certain ways, then what are those problems that I have and how do I fix it? Now, where does that come from? Well, we also have our common welding joints kit. And so usually we would start out with students being able to see what a quality weld looks like. We have 10 common welding joints that allows you to be able to actually see what those welds should look like and what would pass for a quality weld. Now, we had an AWS certified welding inspector and educator create these welds for us, and then we were able to just do molds of every single one of both our common welding joints and also our weld defect joints. Now, this allows then for students to see what a quality weld looks like and what they want to aspire to and be able to learn with flashcards, with our Commonwealth Joint Kit guide, how to actually go about doing that. And then in this case, if they did it incorrectly after the weld, they can then look and say, what is the problem? Is it undercutting? Is it overlap? Is it too much spatter? And so all those different things then can be taught of, okay, yep, it's your technique. You need to raise your hand up higher. You need to go a little slower. You need to be farther away or closer to the weld. And then they learn through that the proper welding. Now, this leads to our last product here, and that's our bend tester. Once you have done your weld, how do you know, besides just visual inspection, if I did it correctly? Well, we have a bend tester and curriculum that walks through the American Welding Society D11 code. All right, it walks through what are the bending basics and qualifications that you need when you do a bend test to see did it get was it a quality weld or not. We have 8 lessons that walk students through this where they actually can do the welds, they can follow the instructions and know, did I qualify and get a passing grade or a passing weld in this case? So that's our bend tester as well. So this then kind of walks through, and every single product that we have that we just talked through has actual curriculum that walks through the students and helps the students to know what they need to know about each section of the overall welding methodology. So our Guide Weld Live, our Guide Weld VR has over 30 hours each of not only welding, but also welding safety, our common weld joints, defects joints, bend tester, all then have focus on different types of welds and how to identify and then do correct welds. So with showing some of our products that we have for the welding world and for your program, how can we now talk about what can we do to really see successful implementation into the classroom? So going back to what we had talked and shown earlier is really getting students to understand, to visualize, and then you as a teacher setting up your classroom, setting up your program to be able to walk them through from kind of, hey, if you if you've ever done a weld before or not, we're all going to learn and have a standard way of learning best welding technique and welding world here. So again, where does that start? Really, it starts with understanding what a quality weld looks like. That is our common welding joint kit, letting students know what a quality weld would look like, knowing what AWS is looking for, and being able to teach them this is what you're going to do. Not only just what that, but what are the different welding joints? A butt joint, a lap joint, a V groove. What are those different things? What's a pipe? A weld? All those different parts and pieces. So understand that quality weld. Then where do we go? Well, then we would go into our Guide Weld VR welding simulator, allowing students to really learn proper technique and be able to have graded welds, making sure they understand if they are doing their correct work angle, their travel angle, all the different parts and pieces of actual quality welding technique. Now, this is a great piece, especially if you don't have enough welding booths for all your students to be at one time. It also is a great piece because you will have welders who are students who are welders who, hey, they get it and they understand it and they can, kind of be your high flyers. And so they're moving on to that next stage of welding where you have some who, it takes longer. That eye-hand coordination, the understanding of proper welding technique is harder for them. And so you can move students from the classroom to the welding shop area and be able to have different levels of learners all working. But again, knowing that everyone has learned proper welding technique. From there, then we move over to our Guide Weld Live welding guidance system. You actually go into the booth, you have your students put on our welding helmets and get that guidance and feel real world, real life welding experience, but you have guidance inside the helmet and giving them that extra skill training. Now, some students will be able to use this and get that understanding because you have the heat, you have the smells, you have the sounds, you have all the different things going on. Some will be able to go to just real welding with no extra training. Some will need that extra training for a good long time. Again, helping each student be able to become proficient in welding. And then after that, it is now time to focus on our quality of our welds. So our weld defect classroom kit allows students to check their welds to identify if they are without defect. And if they do have defect, man, I keep on undercutting my weld. I keep on having that same problem. Well, what's the issue? Oh, well, maybe my amperage is too high. Maybe my volts are too high. Maybe it's too low. Maybe I need to be closer to the weld. Maybe I need to slow down my speed or increase my speed. All of this can then be taught to them and say, oh, here's my problem. How do I correct it? Over and over again with that weld defect kit. And then finally, going to our qualification of our welds. Our bend tester, the Realityworks bend tester, allows students to be able to then do quality welds, to know they've mastered the skills and qualified their welds. This is that thing of, I want to know if I could get a job in the welding world. So I'm going to do my weld, I'm going to test it and see if that test would pass. Did I pass that test? Did I create a quality weld? And if I can do that over and over again, when I go out to the real world, when I go out to actually apply for a job in the welding world, I can then say, yep, I can do this test, and I've done it before. I know that I can do it well, and I can pass that test. So with that implementation, here's a short video of a school in the United States here in Arizona that is doing just that. Their welding implementation has really focused on how to implement it and using our products to implement it into their classroom.
Welding.
Welding. Welding.
Welding. Welded.
Welding. Welding.
I've been welding.
Better my welds.
Even welding for 4 years.
In terms of welding,
you know, I mean, welding just in general is, you know, really important. I mean, almost everything you use in a daily basis has been welded or, you know, ties into welding. And, you know, just having that skill, you know, you're very versatile. I mean, there's so many different welding careers and outlets. I mean, it's not just in one particular area. So to show the kids that, you know, like, hey, these are all of the different types of careers that are welding related, whether it's sales or in a shipyard or in a fabrication shop or at a construction site, you know, so it's just very versatile and there's a lot of opportunities.
I was terrified to actually try it, but my friend convinced me, hey, go do it. So I tried it and I instantly fell in love.
That's what I want to do out of high school.
One of the things that I really enjoy about welding is the fact that I can manipulate metal into the way that I want it to. I can construct things the way I would like, and it's just really fun to get into. It has a lot of assets to it, so if I wanted to go into something different, I can always have that on my resume as like a certain skill that I can get used to.
like the final project is like what I like. It's like you're satisfied with what you've made. Really, I was hoping to do it outside of high school, make it a career. Just weld for a big business or something. When you think about the importance of welding and all of the trades, you realize the importance at a very small micro level, so within our community, and then you know, you can take that out to the global marketplace. That the skills that the students learn, both the soft skills, those affective skills as they learn to work together, that they learn to work with their teacher as a supervisor and boss, will carry them forward. And then the particular skills of welding. Welding is one of the most demanded fields in terms of occupational need, and this skill will only take them further in life. We believe here that all kids are career bound. Some will go through college to get there, some will go through trade school and get other licensures, but that the work that's done from the first day in this classroom forward is working towards career for our students.
GuideWeld VR has really helped me, especially just learn the muscle memory.
So the thing I like about GuideWeld VR is like the golden gun. It shows you the appropriate speed and height and the angle that you use.
The guides help me maintain a steady speed. They help me understand where to place my hand so that way I can turn it a certain way so that way I can get into the groove or joint that I'm working with.
Seeing 100% was definitely a confidence booster. I did better than everyone. It was cool. High confidence booster. Feel proud of yourself.
When I've used the guide weld system, it's really helped me with my travel angle and my speed.
having them with that extra guide and assistance inside the hood as they're physically welding is always a win-win.
Which is why I like this more, because it's real. You get adjusted to actually what's going on with the sparks.
Learning how a WPS works. Purpose of a WPS is having another tool that they can use to get that same information is, you know, definitely a win.
The helmets would help by just having the angles correct, the speed correct.
The machine really helped me pick up my own travel angle, the travel speed, anything that really technical that you really need to be hitting for a good weld. It could be slightly varianced, and this machine really helps you pick up on that and fine-tune your welding experience.
Definitely, I'd had really good feedback from kids about saying, hey, that really helped me out. Having that self-assessment tool is always good. You know, having them a tool that they can assess themselves or even assess each other as peers, you know, and almost make it a competition in a way, or just being helpful to each other and all of that. You know, my ultimate goal is to, you know, get those kids a successful career, and they're not just walking away with just a diploma. They're also leaving with a skill that they can use.
Have some free resources. So we'll be sending these out talking about the personal protective equipment that you need for safety in the classroom and in the shop with welding. And then also, what are those common welds lesson things that you need to know? What is a common weld, and what is it that your students should have proficiency in? So we'll have a lesson on that as well. And then also, we have a link to that free career exploration lessons that we have for you to be able to use in your classroom, and use that right away and right now to get students interested in understanding what different career options they have out there for you. So with that said, those are some of the implementations of our welding products and how you bring that into the classroom. Want to open it up for any kind of questions that you may have.
Yeah, Jamie, one of the questions that came in is, does our guide weld VR need internet to work?
Great question. No, it does not. Now, you can download it and have it downloaded without internet, and be able to use it as a standalone without internet. Now, you can also use internet with it if you have internet, so you can link it to a server, have all the data that you collect go to one place, or any type of updates or things, it can be done through that internet server, but it doesn't have to be. It can be both ways, both with or without internet.
Awesome. And then do you want to go over what everybody's going to be receiving after the webinar one more time?
Yeah, sure thing. So after the webinar, you get that certification of completion for this webinar. You get the personal protective equipment lesson. We also have a common welds lesson. We will send this PowerPoint with it as well, and then a link to go and get that free career exploration lessons that is already on our website, but the link for it, so just easier for you to access as well.
Awesome. And I'm not seeing any additional questions coming in at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the time. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Realityworks at information@realityworks.com, or check, you can call us at our toll-free number, or check out our website at realityworks.com for anything else that we can help you with. Thank you.